Most people over 65 are told the same thing when their blood pressure creeps up. Eat a banana for the potassium. It sounds sensible, it sounds healthy, but here is what nobody tells you. A banana is not even close to the best source, and potassium alone was never the whole story. Most older adults get barely half the potassium their body needs in a day. And at the very same time, they eat nearly double the sodium they should. That single imbalance quietly pushes blood pressure higher year after year. Today, I am going to give you 7 everyday foods with more potassium than a banana. And I will explain the one thing about blood pressure that a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. The number one food on this list has more than double the potassium of a banana, and it is the very food most people over 65 are told to stop eating. Stay with me until the end because that one can change your next reading. Think about your last blood pressure check. You had about 12 minutes. Your doctor took the reading, glanced at your pills, and perhaps changed a dose. There is almost never time to talk about the food on your plate. If diet comes up at all, it is one line: cut the salt. Nobody has time to explain the other half of the equation, the mineral that pushes back against the salt. I am not here to sell you a supplement or a powder. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. In fact, please do not rush out and buy potassium pills because in the wrong hands, those can be genuinely dangerous. Everything on this list is ordinary food from an ordinary shop. But there is one serious exception, and you must hear it now. If you have kidney disease, or you take a water pill called spironolactone, or a blood pressure pill ending in pril or sartan, extra potassium can build up to dangerous levels in your blood. For you, more potassium is not safer. It can be harmful, so you must talk to your doctor before adding any of these foods. Keep watching to understand the science, but change nothing on your plate until your doctor confirms your level is safe. Because for everyone else, high blood pressure is not just a number on a chart. It is the quiet pressure behind a stroke that can take your speech, your balance, or your independence in a single afternoon. Getting it down is one of the most powerful things you can do to stay in your own home. So before we start, tell me 2 things in the comments: your age and your top blood pressure number, the higher one. Here is the one idea that unlocks all 7 foods. Sodium and potassium work as a pair, like 2 children on a seesaw inside your body. Modern food piles sodium high on one side and leaves potassium almost empty on the other. When that seesaw tips, your blood pressure rises with it. Picture your kidneys as the drain in a flooded street. Sodium is the pile of leaves clogging that drain, so water backs up and the pressure climbs. Potassium is the signal that tells your kidneys to clear the drain and let the extra salt and water flow out. It also helps the walls of your blood vessels relax and widen, like loosening a kink in a hose. Clear the drain, loosen the hose, and the pressure inside comes down. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows. If this is already making sense to you, tap the like button so more seniors can find it. It is the only thing I will ask of you until the very end. The 7th food is the avocado. Half an avocado carries nearly 500 milligrams of potassium, already more than a whole banana. But avocado does something a banana cannot. Alongside the potassium, it brings a soft, healthy fat that helps your body absorb other nutrients. That fat also slows digestion, so you stay full and steady instead of spiking. Think of the potassium as the message and the fat as the envelope that carries it safely. And it does all of this with almost no sodium at all. The kind of fat in avocado is the same monounsaturated fat found in olive oil. Large heart studies have tied that fat to lower blood pressure and better cholesterol for decades. So here is how to use it. Eat half an avocado 3 or 4 times a week, mashed on whole grain toast or sliced into a salad. Do not treat it as a rare treat you have twice a year. A ripe avocado gives a little each time, so half today and half tomorrow works well. The mistake people make is drowning it in salt, which cancels out the very benefit you came for. A squeeze of lemon and some black pepper does the job instead. Avocado is soft, so it suits tender teeth and gums perfectly. If you take a blood thinner like warfarin, keep your intake steady rather than swinging up and down, and mention it to your doctor. If you have kidney disease, this counts toward the potassium your doctor may be limiting, so check first. And if you are watching your weight, remember it is rich, so half is a portion, not a whole one each sitting. And keep the number one food in mind as we go, the one you were told to give up, because it quietly beats every food on this list. Pair your avocado with a low-sodium meal, not a salty one. The whole point is to add potassium while you remove salt, tipping that seesaw the right way. Avocado on salt, heavy toast pulls in both directions at once, but avocado is rich and easy to overdo. Our next food gives you a large dose of potassium with almost no fat, and it comes from the sea. It also brings something for your heart that no plant on this list can offer. The sixth food is salmon. A single cooked fillet carries around 600 milligrams of potassium, well above a banana. Salmon pairs that potassium with omega-3 fats, and together they are a gift for your blood pressure. The potassium relaxes your vessels from the inside, while the omega-3 fats keep those vessel walls flexible and calm. Picture an old rubber hose left out in the sun. Omega-3 fats are what keep that hose soft instead of stiff and cracked. A soft, flexible vessel carries blood at a lower pressure. This is some of the most studied nutrition in the world. Large trials have tied regular oily fish to lower blood pressure and fewer heart events. So here's how to use it. Eat oily fish twice a week, a piece about the size of your palm, baked or grilled rather than fried. Tinned salmon and sardines count fully and cost far less, so price is no barrier. Keep the soft bones in the tinned kind, because they add calcium too. The mistake people make is buying it smoked, which is soaked in salt and works against you. Fresh, frozen, or tinned in water is what you want. Salmon is soft and flakes easily, so it is gentle to chew. If you take a blood thinner, oily fish is usually fine, but keep your intake steady and tell your doctor. Remove any hard bones from fresh fillets if swallowing is a worry. And if you have kidney disease, count this toward your limit and ask your doctor first. Pair your salmon with a squeeze of lemon and a green vegetable rather than a salty sauce. The lemon lifts the flavor, so you do not reach for the salt. The green vegetable stacks even more potassium onto the very same plate. But fish is only twice a week. For the days in between, you need a potassium source you can keep in the cupboard for months. Our next food is one of the cheapest on this entire list. The fifth food is lentils. 1 cup of cooked lentils carries about 730 milligrams of potassium, far more than a banana. Lentils bring potassium wrapped in a thick blanket of fiber, and that combination is powerful for pressure. The potassium tips the seesaw, while the fiber steadies your blood sugar and feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Think of that fiber as a slow-release capsule around the mineral. Nothing floods in, and everything arrives gently. And lentils do it for pennies a serving. Lentils sit at the heart of the DASH eating pattern, the diet built specifically to lower blood pressure. Study after study has shown that pattern working, as well as some medications for milder cases. So here is how to use it. Aim for 1 cup of cooked lentils 3 or 4 times a week in soups, stews, or a cold salad. Dried lentils cook in about 20 minutes with no soaking, and tinned ones just need rinsing. Rinsing the tinned kind washes away up to half of the added salt, so always do it. The mistake people make is buying tinned lentil soup instead, which is often loaded with sodium. Cook your own and you control every grain of salt. Introduce beans and lentils slowly over 2 weeks so your stomach adjusts without wind. If that is a problem, rinse them well and start with a 1/4 cup. If you have kidney disease, lentils are high in both potassium and phosphorus, so this is one to clear with your doctor first. And if any new bloating will not settle, ease back and mention it. Remember, the champion is still coming, the single food on this list with more potassium than any other. Every step so far has been building toward it. Pair your lentils with a grain like brown rice. Together, they make a complete protein, so you build muscle while you lower your pressure. One cheap bowl doing 2 jobs at once. But lentils live in the cupboard. Our next food is bright green, sits in the fridge, and carries one of the biggest potassium punches of all. It also brings a second mineral that works hand in hand with potassium. The fourth food is cooked spinach. 1 cup, once it is cooked down, carries about 840 milligrams of potassium, twice what a banana gives you. Spinach brings potassium and magnesium together, and the two work as partners on your blood pressure. Potassium relaxes the vessel from within, and magnesium helps that same muscle in the vessel wall let go. Picture 2 hands loosening the same tight knot from opposite sides. Alone, each helps a little, but together, the knot slips free. That is why leafy greens punch so far above their weight for pressure. This too is a cornerstone of the DASH pattern. Large reviews have linked a daily serving of leafy greens to meaningfully lower readings. So here is how to use it. Cook down 2 large handfuls of spinach most days, which shrinks to about 1 cup. Fresh or frozen both work, and frozen is cheaper and just as rich. A quick wilt in a hot pan for 2 minutes is all it needs. The mistake people make is boiling it in a pot of water and then pouring the potassium down the sink. Steam it or wilt it instead and keep the juices. Cooked spinach is soft and easy to swallow, unlike the raw leaves. If you take warfarin, spinach is high in vitamin K, so the golden rule is to keep your amount steady, not zero, and tell your doctor. If you are prone to kidney stones, cooked greens are safer than raw, and drinking water helps. And if you have kidney disease, count this toward your potassium limit and ask first. Pair your spinach with a splash of lemon or some chopped tomato. The vitamin C helps your body absorb the iron in the greens. Potassium, magnesium, and iron all from one small pan. But greens wilt away to almost nothing, and some people never feel full on them. Our next food is sweet, filling, and a favorite for good reason. It proves that lowering your pressure does not mean eating like a rabbit. The third food is the sweet potato. One medium-baked sweet potato, eaten with the skin, carries over 500 milligrams of potassium. The sweet potato delivers its potassium inside slow, gentle carbohydrate and a wall of fiber. That fiber and the skin mean the sugar is released slowly, so your energy and your pressure stay level. Think of it as potassium on a slow conveyor belt instead of a dropped load. And the deep orange color is beta-carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A, one humble root doing several jobs. Sweet potatoes appear again and again in blood pressure research as a swap for refined starch. Trading white bread for a sweet potato has been shown to nudge readings gently down. So here is how to use it. Bake a medium sweet potato with the skin on 2 or 3 times a week in place of white bread or plain rice. Cook it whole in the oven or the microwave, then let it cool a little before you eat it. Cooling it actually forms a fiber that is even kinder to your blood sugar. The mistake people make is smothering it in butter and salt, or turning it into a sugary casserole. A little olive oil and cinnamon is all it needs. Baked soft, the sweet potato is easy on teeth and swallowing. If you have diabetes, this is still a carbohydrate, so keep the portion to one medium and pair it with protein. If you have kidney disease, potatoes of every kind are high in potassium. So this is one to clear first. And always eat the skin, unless your doctor has told you otherwise, because that is where much of the fiber lives. Pair your sweet potato with a portion of the salmon or the lentils from earlier. Protein beside the starch flattens the blood sugar rise even further. One plate, 2 potassium sources, and steady energy. But a sweet potato is still a modest-sized portion. Our next food lets you eat a large, hearty serving with almost no downside, and it may be the best value on the whole list. It is the runner-up to the champion for a reason. The second food is white beans, the cannellini and butter beans in every supermarket. 1 cup of cooked white beans carries close to 1,000 milligrams of potassium, more than double a banana. White beans are almost the perfect blood pressure food. They stack potassium, magnesium, and fiber into one cheap filling package, and they bring plant protein with almost no fat. The potassium and magnesium relax your vessels, and the fiber steadies everything else. Picture loading the light end of that seesaw with a heavy sandbag in a single move. Few foods shift the balance this far, this fast. Beans are a pillar of the DASH diet and of nearly every place in the world where people live longest. Large studies tie a daily serving of beans to lower pressure and a longer life. So here is how to use it. Aim for 1 cup of white beans 4 or more times a week in stews, mashed on toast, or blended into a dip. Tinned is perfect. Just rinse them well to wash off up to half the salt. Dried beans are even cheaper if you have the time to soak and simmer them. The mistake people make is buying beans in a salty or sugary sauce, like tinned baked beans. Plain beans, seasoned at home, keep you in control. Introduce beans slowly over 2 weeks to avoid wind, and rinsing them helps a great deal. If your digestion is sensitive, start with half a cup and build up. If you have kidney disease, beans are high in potassium and phosphorus, so this is firmly one to clear with your doctor first. And if bloating will not settle, ease back and mention it. Pair your beans with a whole grain and a green vegetable. Beans and grain make a complete protein, and the greens pile on even more potassium. This is the cheapest full meal on the entire list. But even a hearty bowl of beans is beaten by one last food, and here's the truth this whole video has been building toward. The number 1 potassium food is the very one most people over 65 are told to give up, and it holds more than double the potassium of a banana. The number 1 food is the ordinary baked potato, eaten with its skin. Not a special variety, not an exotic root, just the humble potato you were probably told to avoid. Here is why it sits at the very top. 1 medium baked potato, skin and all, carries over 900 milligrams of potassium, more than double a banana, and among the richest sources on any dinner table. For years, potatoes were lumped in with white bread and sugar as something to cut, and the potassium was thrown out with them. But most of that potassium and most of the fiber live in and just under the skin, exactly the part people peel away and discard. Think of the potato as a battery, with its charge stored right at the surface. Peel it, and you pour that charge down the sink. Leave the skin on, and you are holding one of the cheapest, most powerful blood pressure foods there is. It was never the potato that was the problem. It was the deep fryer, the butter, and the salt we buried it under. The DASH diet, the eating pattern designed by researchers specifically to lower blood pressure, leans heavily on potassium-rich foods like this one. In its trials, that pattern lowered readings within about 2 weeks, and it did so with everyday food, not with pills. So here is how to use it, and it is the fullest plan on this list. Bake or microwave 1 medium potato with the skin on 3 or 4 times a week in place of white bread, chips, or plain rice. Cook it whole, never peeled, so the potassium stays inside instead of leaching into the water. Let it cool for about 10 minutes before you eat it, because cooling forms a special fiber called resistant starch that is far kinder to your blood sugar. Top it with plain yogurt, black pepper, and chives instead of butter and salt. That spoon of yogurt adds even more potassium, turning 1 potassium food into 2. Aim to replace a salty, refined starch you already eat, so every potato does double duty, adding potassium as it removes sodium. 1 medium potato is about the size of your fist, not the giant baked potato served in a restaurant. If potatoes are new to your week, start with 2 a week and build up gently. The mistake nearly everyone makes is either peeling the potato or drowning it, and both undo the entire point. Baked soft, the potato is one of the easiest foods to chew and swallow on this list. But this is the food to be most careful with if you have a kidney condition, because it is so rich in potassium, so you must clear it with your doctor first. If you have diabetes, keep to 1 medium potato, always eat the skin, and let it cool to blunt the sugar. Serve it soft and cut it into pieces if your grip or your teeth make a whole potato awkward. If you take a blood pressure pill ending in Pril or Sartan, or the water pill spironolactone, do not load up on potatoes without asking your doctor, because your medication already holds potassium in. And if you ever feel muscle weakness, numbness, or an odd, slow, or fluttering heartbeat, that can be a sign of too much potassium, so stop and seek medical help the same day. Pair your potato with the plain yogurt topping and a green vegetable on the side. The yogurt and the greens turn 1 potassium food into 3 on a single plate. Skip the butter entirely, because the yogurt gives you the same creaminess with potassium in place of saturated fat. It is the most powerful potassium meal on this entire list, and among the very cheapest. So here is the payoff I promised you at the very start. The food you were told to give up may be one of the best friends your blood pressure has, as long as you keep the skin on and keep it out of the fryer. This was never about eating less. It was about tipping a seesaw that modern food knocked sideways, 1 ordinary plate at a time. Consider a typical case of the kind documented in the blood pressure literature. A 71-year-old woman living alone with a top reading that sat stubbornly around 150 for years. Her doctor had raised 1 medication and was already talking about adding a second. She was frightened of a stroke and frightened of the growing pile of pills. Her doctor agreed she could try food changes alongside her current medicine, with her potassium checked first to be safe. She kept taking every pill exactly as prescribed, changing nothing about her medication. She swapped white bread for a skin-on potato or a cup of beans at dinner most nights. She added cooked spinach to her lunch and half an avocado at breakfast. And she rinsed every tin and cooked her own soups to cut the hidden salt. Within 6 weeks, her top number had drifted down to around 135. Her doctor held off on the second medication and kept watching closely. She felt steadier and far less afraid. And she had done it with food from the same shop she always used, not a single supplement. So here is exactly what to do. If you have any kidney problem or take the pills I mentioned, step 1 is a phone call, not a potato. Step 1, ask your doctor to check your potassium with 1 simple blood test before you change anything. For everyone else, the next 4 steps can start tonight. Step 2, replace 1 refined starch a day, your white bread or white rice, with a skin-on potato, a sweet potato, or a cup of beans. That single swap can add 500 to 1,000 milligrams of potassium. Step 3, rinse every tin of beans or fish under the tap for 30 seconds, which washes away up to half of the sodium. Step 4, add 1 leafy green and 1 oily fish meal to your week, aiming for spinach most days and salmon or sardines twice. Frozen spinach and tinned sardines keep this to about 1 pound a serving. Step 5. Season with lemon, pepper, and herbs instead of the salt shaker, and taste your food once before you ever reach for salt. Think of someone in your life who is quietly worried about their blood pressure or rattling a growing handful of pills each morning. This is not a reason to stop their medicine, and it never replaces their doctor, but it may be the gentle, natural help that finally tips their seesaw the right way. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 you are adding first. Your answers decide exactly what I cover next. And if you want the science that a 12-minute appointment never has room for, subscribe to this channel. That is the entire reason it exists. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. I'm Bennett Thorne. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.